The NFL top 100 player rankings have come out, and surprisingly, Tyreek Hill was rated the number one player in the league over Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, and a lot of people have been outraged by this. Me personally, I'm not. I feel like Tyreek Hill has the right to be named the best player in the NFL. Now, you guys got to remember that this list is voted on by players only. So these guys are lining up against these players every single week. They know how good these guys are in the actual games versus me and you just watching from the TV screen in our living room. But we seem to forget that during the first half of last season, Tyreek Hill had a legitimate chance to win MVP. As a matter of fact, he was top 3 in the MVP race until the second half of last year kicked off and his numbers started to decline a little bit. But his first 8-9 games, this dude had 6 games with over 130 plus yards receiving. Week 1 against the Chargers, he went for 11 catches, 215, and 2 tutties. He has a right for the claim of being the best player in the NFL. And some of y'all tend to overlook just how good Tyreek Hill is. This dude is a top 5 wideout of all time. Based on the production that he's put on display, he's already at 10K receiving yards, has hella receptions. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's a 5-time first team All-Pro. He's one of the most accomplished players that we have that's active in the league right now. And if we're going off just sheer talent and athleticism, there's not too many players in this league that rival Tyreek Hill. We got to understand that he's one of the few wideouts in this game that have a really big impact that's somewhat on par with the impact of what a quarterback may have. Now, he's not more important than having a quarterback when it comes to wins and losses, but he definitely is one of those players that when he's on your team, he's good enough to win you at least maybe a game or two by himself, because when he gets in that mode and he just takes over and he does what we seen him do against the Patriots, the Carolina Panthers, and the LA Chargers, you got to triple team this brother to stop him. And even then, sometimes that might not even work. Tyreek Hill is putting up better numbers in Miami than what he ever did with the Kansas City Chiefs having Patrick Mahomes, which is outstanding. This dude for the last 2 seasons has had over 1,700 yards. He led the NFL in touchdown receptions last year. You talk about an unstoppable force. That definition is Tyreek Hill. The only way you can stop him is if you really have a cornerback that's like a L'Jarius Sneed, that's really physical and can just bump him off the line and press coverage. That's the only way to slow him down, and there aren't too many cornerbacks that have enough courage to even jam Tyreek Hill on the line of scrimmage because of his speed. He's the most dangerous player in the NFL. And Justin Jefferson didn't play for a good part of last year due to the injuries that he was dealing with. So Tyreek Hill at this moment is the best wide receiver in the NFL. And a lot of you guys overlook just how important this dude is to the Miami Dolphins. You take Tyreek off Miami, they probably win 3 less games than what they did last year. A large reason for why Tua has been so good and so productive under Mike McDaniel is because of Tyreek Hill and the impact that he has on that Dolphins offense. One big problem that I have with Miami is that their offense is too predictable. You know that it's only going to 1 or 2 people, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, or they're going to hand it off. And that's what makes Tyreek Hill so important, because with what he's able to do after the catch, and not only being a great deep threat, he's a true all-around weapon. All you got to do is just get the ball in his hands and he's going to make something happen. I remember watching one game, I forgot who it was. Somebody fumbled the football. Tyreek Hill scooped it up and took that thing to the crib for 6. The NFL Top 100 player rankings is about who are the best players during the regular season. Now, if they did this thing after the playoffs, you would have had no choice but to give it to Patrick Mahomes being able to win with no receivers at all. But since this is done throughout the regular season, in terms of who is the best regular season player, I understand having an argument for Tyreek Hill over Lamar Jackson. And that's why he finished sixth to end the year in MVP voting. MVP stands for most valuable player. Yeah, Lamar Jackson means more to Baltimore than what Tyreek Hill means to Miami, but that still doesn't diminish his importance to that team. Miami is a way different team without Tyreek than what they are when he's on the field. Because when he's on the field, you have to game plan and you got to find a way to scheme up how to stop this dude, which is something that's really hard to do. Because if you can't take him out of the game, 9 times out of 10, he's going to end up torching you and he's going to have a large impact on the Dolphins winning. But if you can take him away, and in a lot of the games when Tyreek Hill went for under 100 yards receiving and he didn't really do too much, Miami struggled to sustain a lot of offense in those games. Anytime the Dolphins went against a playoff team, they went from averaging 30 points per game against non-playoff teams to as low as 13 points per game when they went against a team that was above 500. You cannot diminish what Tyreek Hill means to the Miami Dolphins and just how good this man truly is. This is one of the best wide receivers that we've seen in the NFL for the past decade. He's one of the best wide receivers of my generation. So I get the outrage over him being rated number 1 over Patrick Mahomes and Lamar. It seems like the NFL players that vote on this thing seem to favor flashiness and athleticism over production. But Tyreek Hill is a handful to guard. And a lot of these players know that, which is why he was chose and voted as the number 1 player in the league, because it's really hard to stop this dude. These players understand how hard it is to slow down Tyreek Hill, and they are giving this man the respect that he deserves. I don't play in the NFL. You don't play in the NFL. We got a right to have an opinion, but I mean, there's only so much of our opinion that can be taken seriously compared to the guys who are actually playing on the field. Not saying that some of these guys aren't showing a little bit of nepotism and voting for the players that they like the most, because Jalen Johnson got left off the list and he was an all-pro last year. But there definitely is a claim for Tyreek Hill being the best player in the NFL right now. I'm not too outraged about this. Would I put him over Lamar? No, but I still don't think there should be as much backlash from this as what's been going on social media, because we seem to forget just how dominant of a receiver Tyreek Hill has been these last couple of seasons in Miami.